Alright, let's break a silence that has lasted far too long. You've probably heard people giggle about it, whisper about it, or avoid it entirely. But tonight, I want to talk about it openly, without shame, without judgment. So, let's ask it clearly. Is it safe to swallow during oral intimacy? Now, before you scroll away or blush behind your screen, remember this: intimacy is not dirty. Curiosity is not shameful. When we understand our bodies and the choices we make with clarity, that's real empowerment. Speech balloon cut to community clips, men and women from different ages and backgrounds, smiling, listening. Across the world, I've received thousands of messages. Dr. Ruth, my partner asks if it's okay to swallow. Is it harmful? Does it mean something about me? My answer is always the same. Let's talk about it like adults who care about health, pleasure, and respect. Because here's the truth, this topic isn't about being naughty or nice. It's about trust, safety, and understanding what's actually happening in your body. So, let's start with what most men don't know. Semen, yes, that mysterious fluid everyone jokes about, is mostly made of water, fructose, a natural sugar, enzymes, vitamin C, and a small number of proteins and minerals. In a healthy man, it's generally not toxic or harmful. But there's a big if here, and this is where science and safety meet. If a man carries a sexually transmitted infection, STI, those microbes can be present in semen. That means swallowing can potentially expose someone to infection if protection or testing hasn't been part of the conversation. So, is it safe? Well, it's safe with the right partner, with trust, with health awareness, and with mutual respect. But it's not something to feel pressured into, ever. Intimacy should never cross your comfort zone, it should expand your connection, not your anxiety. Now that we've broken the silence, let's talk facts. Because nothing builds confidence like clarity. Most people don't realize that semen, the fluid men release during climax, is actually a complex, living liquid. It's made up of nearly 95% water and fructose, along with enzymes, zinc, protein fragments, and traces of vitamin C and magnesium. In a healthy body, this mixture is nature's design for life. It carries sperm cells safely and nourishes them. So, from a biological standpoint, semen isn't poisonous or dirty. In fact, small amounts swallowed by a healthy partner don't pose any inherent danger. But here's the part most men don't know: safety depends entirely on trust and health transparency. Speech balloon cut to soft animation of two partners sitting together, talking openly. You see, semen can also carry microorganisms. If a person has an STI, like chlamydia, gonorrhea, herpes, HPV, or HIV, those can be present in the semen. That means during oral contact, the mouth or throat could be exposed to those same infections. That's why testing, protection, and honesty are not just medical, they are acts of love. It's how two adults say, "I care about your body as much as I care about your pleasure." Now, what about taste and texture? Many partners quietly worry about that but never ask. Taste varies depending on diet, hydration, alcohol intake, and even stress. Fruits like pineapple, citrus, and water-rich foods tend to make it lighter and sweeter. Heavy meat, caffeine, or smoking can make it more bitter. But remember, no one is obligated to like or accept it. Pleasure should never come with pressure. If either partner feels uncomfortable, there are beautiful, sensual alternatives, like kissing afterward, or using flavored protection designed specifically for oral intimacy. Because intimacy isn't about what goes where, it's about how safe and connected you feel in the moment. Speech balloon cut to Dr. Ruth Marie leaning closer, compassionate tone. Here's something I tell every couple, whether you're 25 or 75. Curiosity keeps intimacy alive, but consent keeps it safe. If you and your partner are tested, healthy, and comfortable, swallowing is not medically dangerous. But if you're unsure about health status or not ready emotionally, it's completely okay to say no. Boundaries are sexy when they're spoken with confidence. And here's a final note for men watching. If your partner swallows, it doesn't mean she loves you more. If she doesn't, it doesn't mean she loves you less. It's simply a personal choice. When we stop attaching ego to these small acts, we make space for real intimacy built on respect, not performance. Sparkle's soft outro cue. So, next time you're in that intimate moment, remember. What makes it safe isn't the act itself. It's the honesty, the awareness, and the care behind it. Now that we understand the science, let's talk about something even more powerful, the emotional language behind the act. Because in intimacy, nothing is just physical. Every action, every touch, every yes or no carries a story, a meaning that's often unspoken. For many people, swallowing isn't just about the act itself. It's tied to trust, closeness, and emotional surrender. It can feel like saying, "I'm fully open with you," or "I feel safe enough to receive all of you." But, and this is important, for others, it may feel too intimate, too personal, or simply not appealing. And that's equally valid. There's no moral scorecard in intimacy. No act makes you more loving, and no boundary makes you less passionate. Over the years, I've spoken to women who say, "When I do it, it feels like trust." And others who whisper, "I love my partner deeply, but I'm not comfortable doing that." Both voices deserve respect. Now here's where many men get it wrong. They interpret refusal as rejection. But most of the time, it's not rejection at all. It's simply personal comfort and preference. Gentlemen, listen closely. Your partner's comfort is not an obstacle, it's a window into deeper emotional connection. When you respond with patience and understanding, you build a kind of safety that makes her body and heart open naturally over time. Because in the end, real intimacy isn't about how far someone goes. It's about how deeply both of you feel seen, respected, and safe. Across cultures, this topic has carried centuries of shame and double standards. In some places, it's seen as dirty. In others, as proof of love. But biology doesn't speak those moral languages, humans do. So, my invitation to you is this. Let's free ourselves from the myths. Let's stop equating performance with passion and obedience with love. Because when intimacy becomes a place of equality where both partners can say, "This is what feels right for me," then everything that happens in that space becomes sacred, not shameful. And ladies, this part is for you. If you ever felt pressured, guilty, or judged for saying no, release that burden tonight. Pleasure is a conversation, not a command. Your body, your choice, your voice, these are your sacred rights. Speech balloon soft music swells as Dr. Ruth concludes this section. So whether you do or you don't, whether you like it or prefer other forms of intimacy, remember, love isn't measured by what you do with your mouth. It's measured by how you hold each other, with tenderness, respect, and truth. Sparkle's transition cue. In the next part, we'll go even deeper, how to talk about these intimate topics openly without awkwardness, guilt, or judgment. Because communication, my dear friends, is the real foreplay. Alright, my dear friends, now that we've explored the what and why, let's talk about the most human part of it all, how to talk about it. Because silence is the root of most intimacy problems. Not a lack of love. Not even a lack of attraction. But the fear of speaking, the fear of being judged, rejected, or laughed at. So tonight, let's learn how to replace that fear with curiosity. Speech balloon cut to soft animation, two partners sitting on a couch, laughing lightly, holding hands. The best conversations about intimacy don't start in the bedroom. They start in the living room. Or on a quiet evening walk. Or even while washing dishes together. You don't need candles or deep music to talk about sex. You need safety. Safety to ask, safety to say no, safety to be honest. Start with something simple like, "Can I share something personal with you?" Or, "I watched a video about intimacy that made me think, can we talk about it?" These gentle openers lower defenses and invite curiosity instead of fear. Now here's what most couples forget. Communication about sex is not a performance review. It's not about what someone did right or wrong. It's about understanding each other's comfort zones and desires. If your partner says, "I'm not comfortable swallowing," the correct response isn't guilt or pressure, it's grace. Something like, "Thank you for trusting me enough to tell me. I appreciate your honesty." That small moment builds emotional intimacy stronger than any physical act could. And if you're the one bringing it up, remember, how you frame the question matters. Avoid words like should, normal, or everyone else. Instead, say, "I'm curious about what feels good for us." That transforms a potential argument into a shared exploration. Speech balloon cut to Dr. Ruth Marie leaning forward, empathetic tone. And please, my friends, never let shame run the conversation. Shame shuts bodies down. But compassion opens them. If there's discomfort, use humor gently. Laughter isn't disrespect, it's a pressure release valve for awkwardness. A shared giggle can turn embarrassment into intimacy. Now, I know some of you watching may be in long marriages or rediscovering intimacy later in life. You might think, we've been together for decades, how do we even start? Start by saying, "I want us to feel close again. Let's learn together." Because communication isn't a one-time talk, it's a living rhythm that evolves with age, health, and experience. When you replace silence with gentle honesty, you create something powerful, emotional safety. And emotional safety is the doorway to physical freedom. So remember, you don't need to be perfect. You just need to be present, patient, and playful. That's the real secret: talk often, listen deeply, love kindly. Sparkle's soft outro cue. In our final part, we'll close with a ritual: how to move from shame to sacred connection, how to celebrate your body and your partner's choices, and how to turn these conversations into deeper, lasting intimacy. We've talked about science. We've talked about emotion. We've talked about communication. Now, let's talk about what it all really means. Because intimacy, in any form, isn't just about the body. It's about honoring trust, respect, and the sacred exchange of care. Whether you choose to swallow or not, whether you explore this act or never do, you are still whole, still worthy, still capable of deep love and connection. Let's take a deep breath together. Inhale, exhale. Release the shame that's been passed down through silence. Release the fear of being too much or not enough. And remember, you are not a sum of your choices, you are a living, loving being, learning yourself more deeply every day. When two people meet in honesty, the act becomes sacred, not sinful. When we approach intimacy with curiosity instead of judgment, the world becomes softer. And when we talk about these things openly, we heal generations of silence. So tonight, my dear community, here's your ritual. After watching this, sit with your partner, or even just with yourself, and whisper these words. I deserve intimacy that feels safe. I deserve pleasure that honors my body. I deserve connection without shame. Because that's the truth: every healthy relationship is built on safety, respect, and tenderness. Speech balloon cut to Dr. Ruth Marie looking into the camera warmly. If this conversation opened your heart even a little, drop your city below globe showing Europe, Africa, and say, I choose curiosity over shame. Let's remind the world that learning about love is not dirty, it's divine. And as always, my loves, stay curious, stay kind, and keep your hearts open. This is Dr. Ruth Marie, reminding you, intimacy is not about perfection, it's about connection. Clapperboard soft music fades out, closing title. Red Heart Talk. Learn. Love. Together. Red Heart.